Paul is saying something really important for us here. He's highlighting the judgment of God that is upon all sin, whether it resides in the heart of a person who is far from God, or it resides in the heart of a person who is religious. God judges sin. Now, there are four aspects of his judgment that he recognizes in the text before us. First of all, he talks about the fact that the judgment of God is indisputable. You are, he says in verse 1, without excuse. You judge others, he says, but the judgment of God is on you. In fact, we talked about this a little bit last week, but to kind of sum it up, I would say it this way. Paul says, here's the problem with religious people. We have a tendency to look at other people in their sin and think that we are better than they are. We look at the rest of the world in judgment and cast an eye downward toward them as if we are up here and they are down there. What Paul is helping us understand is this reality. Our sin looks worse on other people. Have you noticed that? Other people can sin and it looks really bad. And I recognize it. And it's wrong and it's horrible and it's an abomination to God, and I can stand in judgment. But guess what? I can do the same thing and it doesn't quite look as bad. Somehow I make an excuse for my sin. Somehow I recognize there's a reason for what happens when I do that. Or I always seem to recognize that my sin looks worse on somebody else. And Paul says, you stand in judgment of other people, and the very fact that you look down at other people means that God's judgment is levied against you. Why? Because if you judge others, the very fact that you judge others means that you believe there is a God who is holy. You believe there is a standard that they have violated. You believe that sin deserves the wrath and punishment of God, or you would never stand in judgment. And Paul says the very fact that you believe there is a holy God, and the fact that you believe he has a standard, and the fact that you believe that sin, when we break the standard of God, it is sin and worthy of wrath, the very fact that you know that means you are accountable to God for your sin.